The scenic Virginia International Raceway is the next stop for our GT Pro competitors, as the all-new Studio 397 competition heads stateside for a race on a track that's seen a lot of use across all of our Factor 2's competitions in recent weeks. Heading into this race, Kevin Siggy is the man on top after the previous round at the Nürburgring, while Erhan Jujovski and Rudy van Buren, who are tipped as favourites, slide down the order after both had terrible races last time out. Jujovski bounced back in the sprint race by putting this move on Nürburgring feature race winner Joni Tormala with just 20 seconds remaining on the clock. So with the feature race reverse grid, it was Monaco's Borja Milan who took pole, with Hani Al-Sabdi looking to make it into the lead by turn 1. Yuri Kasdorp looking the odd one out in a top 10 dominated by McLarens, as the nature of this track suited the British mark best. Rudy van Buren was going to be starting down in 27th after an incident-filled sprint race. But with the latest balance of performance being applied to the grid, it could be anybody overtaking anybody over the course of 45 minutes. Milan deactivated the pit limiter on the final corner to lead over the start-finish line and looked to have a safe run into turn 1. But Al-Sabdi was not having any of it and scythed his way past into the braking zone. Yuri Kasdorp went a little deep and drivers tripped all over each other in the lead pack to gain ground, but Al-Sabdi led towards Oak Tree with Milan in hot pursuit. At the start of lap 2, Butler Pal driver Nuno Pinto was pitched into a spin at turn 1 by Kevin Van Duren, while seconds later, Peo Pev and Dennis Lynn tangled, with Pev skating across the grass. Kevin Siggy had dispatched with Yuri Kasdorp, and that left a buffer between Siggy and Risto Capit. Capit tried the outside line into turn 1, but nobody could make it work. Van Buren had made his way up to 17th by the start of lap 3, and his BMW showed a lot of promise in a straight line, as shown when he dispatched with Robin Panzer at the end of the back straight. Tormala was almost sent spinning in the same way Pinto was, but he managed to keep his McLaren pointing in the right direction. After completing a joker lap, he was back on his way, but had lost a few positions. Van Buren then tried to do to Petr Briliak what he did to Panzer, but he couldn't make it stick on this occasion. As the saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And he finally managed to get past Briliak with this switchback onto the pit straight. That put RVB up into 14th place. Kasdorp, meanwhile, in the Audi was holding on to 4th place, albeit leading a bit of an impatient queue. But the Singularity driver was able to cover off all attempts on his position into turn 1. Al-Sabdi had to relinquish his lead at the end of lap 6. A drive-through carried over from the Nürburgring allowed Milan back through into the lead. But at least it's a shorter pit lane at VIR, so at least that lessened the sting a little bit. Milan made the most of it, with this being the view in his rear-view mirror with Al-Sabdi out the way. Then the track claimed its first victim with just over 20 minutes on the clock remaining. Manuel Biancalilla went wide at the first part of Oak Tree and got sucked into the tyre wall. The car's suspension was damaged, which meant lengthy repairs. Van Duren was then given a cheeky nudge from Daniel Pastor on entry into turn 1 as 5 cars battled for position. He was almost then hit by one of the Williams Esports cars, but he resumed down in 17th place with no damage. Oak Tree's tyre wall seemed to have its own gravitational pull, this time pulling in Nikodem Wisniewski. A missing rear wing involved him treading very, very carefully back to the pit lane for repairs. Van Buren then completed his comeback drive, snatching 3rd place in the dying minutes of the race. As with most of his other overtakes, he passed Jujovski into the chicane at the end of the back straight to get himself onto the podium. On the next lap, Risto Capit and Kevin Ryan diced in the same place, and Risto was pitched into the tyre wall. Like Wisniewski, he ended up missing his rear wing and had to get it back to the pit lane for some repairs. But even though Kevin Siggy pulled in the gap towards the end of the race, it was a seemingly easy win for Borja Milan in the Monaco McLaren. Siggy took 2nd place in his McLaren Shadow McLaren, while Rudy van Buren secured a fantastic points finish in 3rd after starting 27th. Jujovski had to settle for 4th, while Kevin Ryan finished a solid 5th in his Simtek car. Joni Tormala was not able to repeat his win at the Nürburgring, but still in 6th place for a good points haul, while Dennis Jordan scored another top 10 finish. Al-Sabdi, despite the missing rear wing, finished 9th, while Martin Dillon was the first of the non-McLarens or Audis. Next up for our GT Pro races, we return to Europe, specifically the northeast of Italy, where we head to the fantastic Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari at Imola, which should produce some great racing. To know when that race is about to start, simply follow rFactor2 on twitch.tv/rFactorLive, and at the same time show support to our sponsors TW Steel, Fanatec and The Race, and follow their social media pages as well. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward for rFactor2, and I'll see you along with Renee Butler and Lee Smith for full live coverage of the rFactor2 GT Pro Series from Imola on the 13th of April. So until then, goodbye.